You can
That-
just sit there and just, yeah, hey, listen, there's a war going on the inside, but nobody.
Pulling it together and doing things because you had to do them and not because you were feeling your best or your greatest or mindset. It's what makes a difference in
Hmm.
every situation in life.
Hmm.
Personal, professional,
Hmm.
mindset. Even me sitting here in front of you today, I don't feel my best.
Hmm.
But my mindset is you have shit to do. So you need to push through. You
Yeah.
need to figure out how to push through, how to not allow, I believe, things that are meant to serve as a distraction, your goals from the things you desire, from the things that you need to get done. And not just professional or business wise, but even life wise, right? Sometimes we have to do things in life that we don't want to do. And
Yep.
Eric and I, since we were so young when we had our son,
Hmm.
we had lofty dreams. When you're in your early 20s and you think about what the future of your life could be like. And so we had this thing that we said, all right, we're gonna be the best parents that we could be. We're gonna send EJ off to college. And then when he goes to college, we're gonna move into Manhattan. We're gonna move into the city. We're gonna get rid of the cars. We're gonna live the life. And I was like, that sounds like such a great plan. And we thought that was gonna be our plan. And we had no idea that our son was not gonna move out until he was 29. Oh, so needless to say, that dream never happened. Um, but
Wait a minute. What was the title? What was the topic you choose for today?
so too busy to dream. Too busy to dream. Yes.
Let's-
That's how life rolls out, right?
The interesting thing to Jess is that sometimes when I think about achieving my dream, it sometimes goes back to the same thing, like going to the mountaintop, right? You get to the peak of the mountain. Sometimes you only spend what 10 minutes up there, whatever, right? So sometimes achieving a dream doesn't have to be like I'm living a dream for 30 years. No, it's about I achieved the dream. Maybe that dream sometimes it's not a long period of time in your life. It could be a couple of years. You guys just moved to Manhattan, and then, all right, we did it. We want to go somewhere else, right? So sometimes it's not about when it happens, but how long you stay in that dream. And so that's what I was thinking. He was saying just now.
Would you like to start us off officially?
Yes. For the folks that have been listening so far, we'll be having a really awesome conversation. Jessica and I are here because today is about idea tennis again. This is week number 2. Episode number 2, so to speak. Episode number 2 of Idea Tennis. And it's where me and Jessica come together, Jessica VB come together, and we just rap. We just bounce ideas back and forth. And we have an acronym. I want the folks to hear how this thing breaks down because it is very powerful, just the idea tennis itself and the breakdown of it. So welcome to Idea Tennis, hosted by Jessica Benito and Asher Wright. In this weekly podcast, we serve up thought-provoking questions designed to think deeper. That's the first T in tennis. Together we elevate. That's the first E in tennis, right? These ideas to new heights, navigate complex challenges, and nurture. That's another N. Navigate the N is another is double N, right? The growth of fresh insight. By the end of each conversation, we'll innovate new ways of thinking and provide action steps to help listeners solve real world challenges. So the tennis again is think for T, E for elevate, N for navigate, N for nurture, I for innovate, and S for solve. So think. Each episode begins with a powerful question, which we're going to talk about, right? Which is about, are you too busy to dream? So Jess, the framework, how you like it, my friend?
I believe that's what we've always intended when we had these conversations
Mm-hmm.
before we formally
Mm-hmm.
introduced the of idea tennis to the world was to create thought-provoking conversations that got people to think differently based on different perspectives, different experiences in life, different reference points we all have. And that's ultimately what these conversations are about, to get people to think differently, especially around the question. So last week's question was for people to ask themselves, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, at the end of the conversation, for those that hung out until the end, It was to challenge yourself and really dig deep in who are you and what is it that you want and what is it that you are in pursuit of and how are you going to go get it and what are you willing to do? And so, playing off of that theme,
Mm-hmm.
today's question, are you too busy to dream, really puts a lot of who am I into perspective if you think about it. And why would somebody be too busy to dream?
Mm. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. If you because of what we call this elevator plantation that you're on, I was on the army plantation, right? You was on this plantation that you was working so many jobs. Like a lot of us get so busy with the responsibility of life, because we all got to take care of the duty of life, but we also need to figure out to enjoy the beauty of life. And the beauty of life sometimes comes back to that dream that we have, and we don't get a chance to enjoy the beauty of life. We just doing the duty, and sometimes that duty becomes so much, so overwhelming for some people that they don't even have time to dream. They don't have time to enjoy the beauty of life. And you was talking earlier about you were saying that you and your husband was thinking about moving to Manhattan after your kids leave home, so forth and so on. And sometimes it take a little longer than normal. Sometimes your dreams take a little longer than normal to manifest, but still, you gotta have that dream at the forefront. And sometimes a lot of people don't get to do that because they're so busy. And I see it with my even with my family. Just that's one of the reasons I'm home. I'm like, I'm gonna work hard. Like I'm gonna tap into this next phase of my life, which you focus on communication, imagination, how to use that to really impact the masses. And that's the only way for you to do a lot of stuff you can afford to do the other things, right? Because we're not trapped into just that trading time for money.
You know, I think that people that trade time for money sometimes don't even realize that they're stuck in the trap.
Mm,
They feel it's just a part of life. It's something everyone has to do, right? Go to work to create income, to live, essentially, to pay bills. And when you finish your work day, and for a lot of people, it's not just 9 to 5, it's many more hours than 9 to 5 in one given work day. And then you go home and you have responsibilities, and everybody's responsibilities look different during different phases of their life. And so, when is the time to actually dream? You finish with your day, you go to bed, and you wake up and you repeat the next day all over again, almost as if you were living in that movie, The Groundhog, right? Where every day he lives the same day over and over again. And for many people, they think that's living. Really, that's existing. It's not living. True living is doing the things that I say set your soul on fire, the things that create a spark in your eye when you speak about them and give you the butterflies almost to dare to say them out loud to the world because they sound so outrageous to everyone, but within you that they're possible. And so, how do you go from the trading time for money, not finding room or space during your day to dream, to living your best life and living your dreams as your reality? How do you go from one place to the other, Asha?
mm. I'm gonna say this again. The trap is, you're right. The trap is the corporate plantation, the elevator plantation, or what I came off of 22 years with the army plantation. But now to really dream is all about that call to purpose. That call to purpose really makes a difference. So what is it that you're dreaming about doing? What are you gonna take action on? And I see a lot of time people don't know what that purpose they're called to. And when you do things right, what's that call to action? What's that call to action? People, you got take it. It's a call to purpose for me. And I'm gonna give you an example because I was talking about this with my coach yesterday. I was sharing with them about it took me almost 3 years just to realize what I really want to do with my life. Because I want to retire from the military. I don't want to go back in the government system because I'll go back in that system, back on that plantation again. I won't be happy. And there's something else that I really want to do with my life. I love to write, but I didn't master the art of the English language or English grammar. I didn't master it. I was like very shy. I was like insecure about it. I didn't want to share this stuff I was thinking about all the time. Cause you know me, I do a lot of thinking, but I didn't feel like could share my stuff because if somebody reading like, oh, there's so much grammatical error. And then I discovered editors. Just editors was like, oh, that was my saving grace. They're gonna have me do a lot of the work that I was worrying about doing. I want to discover that I had a lot more courage to step out there and stop being a coward. And I'm gonna go after my dreams, even though it's scary as hell. But I went after it and it took me 3 years to figure it out. But now I'm like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And I want to write. I want to help people transform their stories. It's the same thing with folks that are thinking about their dreams. Like there's stuff they want to do, but I'm telling you, like they're cowards, just like I was. Like, oh man, I'm afraid of this thing. No, I'm step up. And I step up and the thing started to manifest itself and I start seeing the things that's showing because I love this quote by Neville Goddard. It says, signs follow, they don't proceed. Preced, right? They don't proceed. That means I have to decide on the thing first, Jess. I have to say, this is the dream I'm going after. And once I decide on that dream, Jess, I start seeing the signs that's taking me there. But I wouldn't see the sign. I was sitting around waiting. I'm gonna wait for the sign to show up. No, there ain't gonna be no sign until I decided. And I decided on it. Been game changer. So that's what will be my answer. What was the question again?
How do you go from not being too busy to dream to living your dream life? But I'm going to correct you, Asher.
Okay.
It took you 3 years. But
Mm-hmm.
what about the 22 years before that? You were,
Those were some great years too.
you were surviving, which is what most people do, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do what they need to do to survive, to provide for their families. A lot of people, in some ways, don't dare to dream because of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about from a psychological perspective of like, how dare I dream about more or difference when I have all this responsibility here? I know as a young mom with a lot of responsibility very early on in life, I had to figure it out. And sometimes it's, yes, that survival mode. Other times it's almost like time poverty where there is no time. You go to work. I used to pick up my son, I used to pick him up from after school to take him to an after school activity of some sport of some kind, to then come home and do dinner and homework. And I was exhausted by the end of the night. My husband then was like, okay, what about me? Hello. And it's like, where is the time? And that's a lot of people's lives. It's like you're guilty because you want more. You have no idea what it is that you actually want. And it's not that what your family provides for you is not enough, but your family is a season of your life in the sense that your kids grow up and they start their own lives. Kids don't belong to you, right? And what's left after? What's left for you? What's the meaning of your life? What is it that you want to do beyond raising a family? And for some people, it's not children. Some people, it's that they're a caregiver. Some people they don't care for anybody other than themselves in the sense that they don't live with anybody. They're single, but they still have responsibilities. And so whatever that is, it's like, how do you still live responsibly, get out of the time poverty that you have so that you can dream about what it is that you want more of in life, or what is it that you want to do different, or what do you want to experience? To me, it's to wake up and dream every day. You heard that. To wake up and dream every day is like the highlight, I feel, of living at your best.
Mm. I'm gonna take you back because you mentioned those 22 years. And for the folks that are listening, it's military was very tough, man. I work in like double digit hours a day, right? But then I wanted something else and I was dreaming about really being a real coach. I love the coaching stuff, right? I was dreaming about being a coach, but then I didn't want to go to school because I just didn't feel like school was gonna be my solution. So I started reading a lot of books, like a lot of books, Jess. And even though I was so busy, everybody like really busy, but I was like, I'm gonna find a way to read because I'm gonna find a way to educate myself because I need that stuff in my system. And I started doing a lot of reading. So a lot of times people they got to think about the thing that you really want to like you dream about want to do it. You just gotta find books that are specialized in that area. And you start reading that and that's gonna give you a spark and start thinking about stuff you want to think about. And I started finding really good teachers because I realized this, right? People that are poor learners, they have a difficult time finding great teachers. People that are really great learners know how to find great teachers. And after I start reading, I'm like, man, I love to learn. I love to learn. I start tapping into some great teachers. And even though I was so busy, Jess, the day didn't seem so busy because I was learning new things. And when I'm learning new things, even though I'm like, I have a lot on my plate, but then that spark that happened when I'm learning new things kind of make the energy less heavy because I feel like I was growing. And it's the thing about people that they're so busy, too busy to dream, they don't feel like they're growing because they're doing the same thing over and over. But if you get a chance to start learning, feel like you're growing while you're busy, I guarantee you're going to feel different. And that's what started happening for me. Like, Jess, I used to sleep, tell you this, for over a decade, Jess, I sleep about 3 to 4 hours a night before I retired from the military. Crazy. I know some people can't manage that. But I'm just saying it's not healthy. I understand. But I'm just saying that's how much I was packing in because I was like, I want to get this dream in me, out of me. And it's gonna cost a lot of I gotta put aside some sleep because I gotta get this thing going. Because I know in the end, once I get that thing going, I can get my sleep back. Because sometimes some people sleep too much. I'm just saying, a lot of people they sleep too much. But I know sleep is good for you. Over to you. All right.
You're right. Not only do they physically sleep too much, but they sleep on themselves in the sense of they count themselves out before they even really get into the game. And when I'm talking about the game, I'm talking about living your best life. I think that being too busy is, hmm, excuse me, the excuse that most people give of why their life looks like it does.
Mm.
So I did a social experiment with somebody that I mentor, and I was explaining the difference of how the perception of opportunity
Mhm.
is received when you speak to someone who is experiencing time poverty,
Mhm.
and how when you have a 9 to 5 mentality and mindset of this is what my life looks like because this is what I need to do to be able to fulfill my responsibilities. That's what I'm referencing when I'm saying a 9 to 5 mentality and mindset,
Mhm.
and that there's no time for people to really dream. So we did a social experiment with one study, and she went and asked someone who works in the building that I live in, "What is your dream?" And the person she asked at first didn't understand the question. And so I gave a little point of reference, and she gave an answer that wasn't really a dream. It
Mm.
was that she wanted to be able to care for her ailing father, to make enough money to comfortably care for him.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, but technically that's what you do now. And maybe job security is always insecure on some level,
Mhm.
but he lives with you and you take care of him now. So that's not really a dream.
Mm.
What is it that sets your soul on fire? What is it that, if time and money were not a factor, would you be doing with your life? What, who, and where would you be essentially? And she was like, that's a good question. I don't really ever think about that. And she was
Mm.
the perfect example of too busy to dream.
I was thinking you asked a question earlier about what do people want, and I think sometimes that's the hardest question for people to answer is what they want. Because sometimes a lot of people really don't know what they want. They don't. Just like a lot of times they don't. Because the thing that they know that they're supposed to do is very difficult for them to choose it because they are scared of it. Like they're afraid. So they're like, I don't know what I want. But oftentimes they do, but they don't think it's what they think they're supposed to want. So they're afraid of it. But I'm gonna go back to time. You talk about time poverty. And what pops in my head, I was like, oh my God. I want to get on. You ever seen the athlete's timeline, right? For athlete, they have different time schedule. For entertainer, they have different time schedule, right? It's not the typical 9 to 5, but the way they put work into something and then they perform and then they have a long break and they work on some stuff and they go back and perform. That is a kind of cycle of work that I want to get into. Where like I build up for this performance and I go perform in front of a lot of people and I you know what I'm saying, I serve them and then I go back on another cycle of where I prepare, I practice, I prepare, and I go back and I perform, right? That's the kind of cycle I want to be on. And I think sometimes people, when we get trapped into that, the corporate plantation, the elevator plantation, 9 to 5 thing, then we don't really see how life is different when you get on a different kind of time cycle where you just do a lot of work and you serve, work on your skill set, work on your specialization, work on that thing that you're really good at, and you go perform. And we don't get to do that with a 9 to 5. We just slave away, man. That's mindless doing the same routine, and that comes boring. That becomes energy depleting. But when you're performing for that thing that you love doing, that changed the game. What are your thoughts?
I agree. It doesn't feel like work when you love what you do
Mm-hmm.
and it brings you joy and fulfillment. And if it serves others and offers value, then you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't feel like work because it It's not something you dread doing. It's something you look forward to doing. You're not waking up anymore because the alarm clock is going off, but you're waking up because you have purpose, because you have goals, because you have dreams that you're working towards. And it requires curiosity.
Mm,
It requires exploring. What is it that you want? You say a lot of people don't know what they want. That is so true. I
mm,
think that being in pursuit of figuring it out is an adventure in and of itself.
mm, mm,
Trying different things, exploring new ideas, doing like what you did, right? You knew that you didn't know what you wanted to do next with your life. That was the one thing you knew for sure,
mhm,
but you made it a goal to try and figure it out.
mhm,
You made it a goal to discover what it was that brings you joy and offers value to other people,
mhm,
and how you could create something that brings you joy and offers value, but also potentially create income from it.
mhm,
Now, not all dreams are about making money, right?
mm,
Sometimes dreams are traveling the world, backpacking through Europe, going to every country, or doing missionary work. Whatever the dream is, there is no wrong dream. But how do you know what it is that your dream is if you're not going out there and exploring, being curious, trying to figure it out, trying new things? I will tell you this, there's no athletic bones in this body. I know that any type of athletic anything is not a part of my dream life, right?
mhm.
Give me a good book, put me on an airplane, right? So I listen to very eclectic range of music. Put me in a room with all of my favorite musicians. That's dream life to me. That's dream life to me in the sense of those aren't fulfilling dreams. Those are things I would like to experience as a result of me pursuing my dreams.
So here's a question for the audience, because they're gonna be thinking about this, right? To figure out what you want, and this is how helps me figure out what I want. So I'm asking to think about this. You can think about 10 things in your life right now that are not going right. You can think about 10 things that are not going right. You know, think about those. And you can also think about 10 things in your life that are going right, that are going. You can write them down. But the 10 things that are not going right, if you set out like I'm gonna figure out why these things are not going right, and figure out how to solve those 10 things, you will find some kind of purpose. Because I love the saying that anything that piss you off, bother you, make you mad, make you angry, all those things, you were born to solve. And those things will not leave you alone because they are attached to you like a fragrance, like a tail. Like it doesn't matter how far you run, you're gonna still smell like them, right? Because they're like a fragrance, like it's following you around. So you gotta figure out why this thing following me and why it's bothering me so much. Because it's trying to tell you, like, hey, you're supposed to solve me, right? I'm with you. So sometimes when we talk about call to purpose, a lot of time people are thinking like, I want to find a purpose. Oftentimes your purpose is attached to you. It's been bothering you this whole time. And once you put work into that thing, I realized I was useful just now with solving this thing. And how do I become useful in other people's life? Because the thing about life is how you become useful to other people. That's when you really feel like, oh my God, life is really good. Because I'm useful to somebody else. Like the thing I do, somebody has value. Now you feel great. So I would challenge folk to think about the things that in their life right now that bothers them, like they was born to solve those things. And once you face them and stop running from them, stop being a coward and face those things, you can start finding, oh my God, purpose just start unlocking itself because they're inside of those things that bother you the most. So that would be my challenge to anybody. What do you want? Think about that. Over to you.
Asher, do you
Hmm.
project coming up that has to do with being a coward?
Oh, I do. I do.
Because you seem to be using that word quite often today. I will say,
It's been on my mind. It's been on my mind. Maybe that's why.
I could tell.
Hmm.
Truth is, he's not referencing coward in a negative way. For those of you who are following along with the conversation, he's saying essentially push out of your fear, lean into your curiosity, explore what brings you passion and figuring out what your purpose is. Lean into the things and explore the things that make you feel alive. And the only way to know what those things are to go and have new experiences. Some people, it's not experiential learning. You don't have the opportunity or the means, whether it's time or money, to be able to explore things.
Mhm.
So then how about use a form of self-reflection, whether it's journaling or writing to rediscover the things that you desire in your life? How about going back and thinking about past experiences and reference points that brought you joy or that you feel you added value to someone in their life? Is it that you helping the elderly neighbor makes you feel like you did a good deed that day? Or how about you being of service in your religious community? Does that bring you joy? Is it the idea of going to explore new things, new places? Does trying new foods bring you joy? Does making food bring you joy?
Mhm.
Into all of those things. And again, to reiterate the point, a dream doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that's going to make you money. It's what is it that makes you feel alive, that brings you joy and contentment and happiness when you are doing it, experiencing it, sharing it with others. For some people, their dream does provide income for them,
Mhm.
but it doesn't for everyone. The goal is to dream so that ultimately you feel you've lived a life well lived. Whatever that dream is, it's good, it's beautiful, it's right because it's yours and no one can take it away from you.
Thank you so much for being so expressive and so artistic with the expression, so poetic there, Jess. You got a great combination for it. And I'm gonna go back to something it says because it's been a working title in my mind. And I don't know if it's gonna be a title you be like, Asher, I'm with it. But here's a working title just for the project we're talking about. We're gonna announce the project here. I hope you guys like get excited with us too. But me and Jess is gonna work on this book. It's about mindset. And I was playing with titles for it and I was thinking about call it the coward mindset, but it would be a play on both positive and negative, right? Because every mindset has its opposing mindset. But it's a couple of different ways we can frame this. But I was thinking about it because really, when you think about it, Jess, we don't let we if you're a victim, that means you're also a coward in certain aspect. And I was thinking about if I had to step out of being a coward, what's the next energy I had to occupy? And I was thinking the next energy I got to occupy is anger. And anger is one emotion that society doesn't want you to have because you can't control the person that's angry, right? It's hard to control. There's one emotion that a lot of people can control is anger. But anger definitely put the victim in the backseat. He's take control of your life, but it's all about where do you direct that anger now. So if I'm not a coward when I get angry, I can be a coward if I become destructive to other people. But if you destroy the thing that is holding you back, that's what I'm talking about. Like not being a coward, take on anger, destroy whatever that thing that's holding you back. Now you're free to pursue your dreams. So I'm saying put some energy because anger is a lot of energy, right? You just sometimes it's the destructive energy depends on where you direct it at. But if you direct it in the right way, towards the opposition, towards the enemy, towards the thing that's holding you back, now you can take flight, my friend. And that's what I was thinking about with putting together this book. Call it working title right now for anybody that's listening is a coward mindset, and there's a lot to play to that piece. And I was thinking we get people to start thinking about their life. Like, am I being a coward and I not pursuing my purpose? If your purpose showed up and you run from it, you are a coward, right? But if you're like, you know what, I'm gonna step into courage because I want to make my dream a reality. Now that's the part you need to step into. Over to you.
So I'm going to agree that a lot of that has to do with mindset. I
Hmm.
think that one of the reasons I love having these conversations with you is because we think so different. We think very similar, but how we arrive to that is very different, is how I'm
Hmm.
going to say. I just need to say because I know so many people, and on some level, because of the things that have happened to me in my life,
Hmm.
it, I was a victim of something, let's say, or someone was a
Hmm.
victim of something. And I don't believe that under any circumstance, anyone who was a victim of circumstance or a victim of any anything that was not within their control that
Hmm.
negatively impacted them is a coward. What I do believe is that the mindset determines whether the victim sees themselves as the victor.
Mhm.
That if the victim realizes that the message lies within the mess that they experienced,
Mhm.
and being able to take whatever it was that happened to them in their lives and create meaning and purpose from it to help others, changes from I was a victim to I am a victor.
Mm.
I live in the space and place of victory because I did not allow whatever it was that impacted me in a negative way determine how I was going to live my life moving forward.
Mm. And I love that. Thank you so much for, putting your spin on it. That's what we hear, right? That's what we hear. But here's another challenge. Have you ever met a 40-year-old person that's still being a victim to something that happened in your teenage year, whatever year, right? So no, so this is my thing, right? I was saying, if you were a child and somebody victimized you, yeah, you got victimized, right? But here's my challenge. People grow up, get to a certain age, and they're still being a victim to something that happened way back in the past. So it is a saying that whoever show up to your 40th birthday is your fault. Meaning that, like, I might be indoctrinated by a certain organization all the way to my 30s, maybe the school system, the government system, my family, my culture, so on and so on. But then I got to 30 years old. I'm on my own. I'm free now. I'm out of that space. Like I'm out of the place that was victimizing me or indoctrinating me, so forth. But then I got to my 40th birthday and I'm still blaming other people for the things that happened during those times when I was inside of those containers. When I'm outside the container, I'm still blaming. Then that means you're a coward. Because you could actually do something about it, but you're like, nah, I'm still gonna push it off because even though life told me this opportunity and say, step into courage, Jessica, step into courage, Asher. I'm like, no, it's just these people's fault, right? You're still a coward. And if when you accept that, you're like, oh my God, you know what? I've been a coward because the life to give me the opportunities when they step into courage and I keep pushing it off. So then those are people I'm talking to. Right. Like, yeah.
You're pushing buttons every time you use that word coward. I'm going to agree and disagree again. Yes, we're not calling people cowards. What I am going to say, your life is designed by the choices that you make. And
Hmm.
at 40 years old, you are living with a limited mindset, with focusing on what was instead of what is and what could be.
Hmm.
Those are choices that individuals make. It's those choices stunt the growth. Those
Hmm.
choices don't fuel the passion. Those choices fuel the victim mentality. Those
Hmm.
choices fuel the woe is me mentality. Those choices allow you to be stuck in a place that didn't serve you
Hmm.
instead of allowing you to grow. And so it is a choice. I believe the choice is as a result of the person's mindset.
Hmm.
And how do you help somebody move from the place of fear
Hmm.
to becoming fearless or courageous or having more faith than fear or having more hope than fear? How do you help somebody go from that to where they could be and should be?
Very easy. They gotta share. They gotta tell people what's going on with them. And then when somebody says, "Hey, you know what? I can introduce 10 people that did the same, that went through the same thing you did, and this is what they did," right? It's very easy to get out of that space because oftentimes we think we're alone in it. But when you start talking like, wait a minute, I'm not the only person that got punched in the face by the same thing. And this other person was victorious. So what did they do to be victorious? And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try what you did. But here's the thing. When those options are introduced to other people, they're like, nah, it's still the other person's fault. I'm not doing anything because I don't want to take accountability. So and that's the people I call cowards, right? The people that like I give you a solution and you run from it still, right? But then the person I say, you know what, Asher, thank you for showing me these other people that have been through the same struggle I've been to, and I'm gonna try what they tried and see if it can work for me because I definitely want to step ahead on the other side of this thing and start walking to my courage so I can live my purpose because your purpose is on the other side of that thing. But you won't step into your purpose if you're still in that place where it's not my fault. It's like it's their fault. I can't do nothing about it because they did it. right? It's done because right now it's not happening to you currently. Still not. Like you might have got an ass whooping from your parents like a long time ago, but today you feel like you're still getting an ass whooping. No, you're not getting beat by your parents anymore. It's happened. It's gone. Today you're not getting whooped, but you can do something. But still, you're living in a space where, oh my God, I'm still getting whooped mentally because I'm living there. I don't see that the whipping has stopped, right? The crying has stopped. Now it's time for you to do something about it. But you need community though. They need community. They find people that can help them do it. And that's why we like trying to offer like, hey, these are people you surround yourself with. These are people that have done it and occupy the space with these people. But there's a call to purpose here. There's a call to action here. And you gotta step into it versus still blaming. Over to you.
Can it be done?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Is it easy? No. I think that what holds most people back from moving to a place where that mess becomes a message and impactful on other people is they're stuck in that place of, yes, fear,
Mm-hmm.
but shame, guilt, fear of judgment. I will say that for most people, their idea of how others perceive them are one of the guiding forces in their life. I know many people who give what they feel is the right answer and not the real or honest answer because they think that's what other people expect them to say. And not only is that dishonesty to the people that you're giving the right answer to, but it's also dishonesty within you of that's not how you truly feel. Why would you suppress or mask how you feel to make somebody else feel better? So it's about pushing through, yes, finding that community. But in order to be able to get there, in order to be able to be in a place and a space where you feel that no matter what you say, no matter how ugly the message is or the experience was that you had, that you found a group of people that are your safe space, that you found and identified that community that's going to help lift you up, that's going to pour into you the things that you lack so that you can become whole and you can heal and go from that victim to the victor, that you can go from living in a place of fear to being filled with courage. So, is it possible? Absolutely. Is it easy? That's questionable. Is it worth the journey? 100% yes. A
Mm.
100% yes.
For the folks that hear me, they're like, Asher, I don't like the word. But here's the thing. This is something I offer most people. I offer it to myself and I offer it to other people, and I respect it. It's freedom of emotion. Freedom of emotion to say what you like and what you don't like. You gotta establish that for you. That should be one of your primary freedom. It's freedom of emotion to say what you like and what you don't like, what you want and what you don't want. If you're in a space where you're in a place where you can't do that, then you're in the wrong place, my friend. Because because nobody can help you if I don't know what you like and what you don't like. Like I can't work with you if I don't know what you like and know what you don't like. If I know, hey, Jess doesn't like this, I gotta find out why Jess doesn't like it. Because that's gonna push me into a place like I'm curious on Jess, why you don't like this thing? And you're gonna tell me all the reason why you don't like. I'm like, so why do you like this thing, Jess? Oh, this is the reason why I like it. I'm gonna give you more of this thing. And if you don't like it, I'm gonna find out why so I can actually connect with you. Because oftentimes people don't know why you don't like the thing or why you like the thing because you're not sharing with them. You just shut off and you're just not communicating. And oftentimes nobody can do nothing with silence like that. Like I can't work with you, connect with you if I don't know what you like, what you don't like, and why you don't like what you like, when you don't like what you don't like. And that's very important. Even when I'm doing coaching, like that's something I like. Like, hey, there's space for you to tell me what you don't like. Because I can do something with that. But if you don't tell me nothing, I can't read mine, my friend. I might be psychic a little bit, I might be clairvoyant a little bit. I can't read minds. I need you to tell me. And every time somebody, I don't know, he don't like being vulnerable because somebody gonna judge him. But I'm telling you, they're judging whether you say it or not. So you might as well say it. Over to you.
I would agree. I've been known to be what's called brutally honest. I've had to, over the years, not change the level of honesty, but change the way I was expressing it.
Okay.
Because I believe for everything in life, if you know better, you can do better. And the only way for anyone to know better, including me and you, is for someone to say,
Mm-hmm.
it's, there's a better way to say that same thing, but not offend people or not make people think you're a real bitch for the way you said that message or that you think that you're better. It's no, it's none of those things. It's me wanting to genuinely help you be better and do better. But if you don't realize that what you're saying or what you're doing is like completely out there, wrong, whatever, then
Mm.
how are you going to do better and be better? And so that's why I guess the word coward, that was probably something you're being a coward. Like, how is
Mm.
that serving you? That would be a message that old Jess would say to somebody. And so now an improved version of Jess, of maintaining the level of honesty, but realizing that people can't hear the message if they're stuck on one word,
Mm.
right? So if I tell them that they're a coward,
Mm-hmm.
that's a harsh word.
I pushed the button.
It pushes their button and they're stuck mentally on that word coward, that they're not hearing the rest of the message to hear that what I'm telling them is like helpful. It's good. But they're stuck on the word coward. So if we change that word and still give the same message, listen, you're stuck in a place of fear that is not serving you,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll still listen because I'm not being as harsh. I'm not being as brutally honest in the sense that the truth is a hard pill to swallow. And a lot of people aren't ready, willing, or wanting to deal with the truth because it's a self reflection of them generally. And so, could they have done better? Could they have made different choices? What role did they play? That's a lot of self reflection that most people aren't willing to do within themselves. So, to be able to get somebody to listen in a way that's going to be productive and serve them and not offend them, saying the same thing, but a little softer.
Who needs soft?
I don't listen. I want people to be brutally honest with me. What it is in terms of the brutal honesty. If it's true and real, I accept it.
Okay. So here's what I would challenge people, right? So speak to me like I am blind. If I'm a blind person and I can't see you, that means you gotta communicate with me a lot better, right? Just like I can't read your body language. You gotta tell me what you want, what you're doing, what you like, what you're doing. So speak to me like I'm a blind coach. I'm coaching right now, but I can't see you. But I know I'm very good at listening. And you gotta tell me what's going on in your world, Jess. You gotta describe it. And oftentimes, people think that you can read with your eyes, and the eyes tell the biggest lies. They don't tell you everything. So I need people to talk more, to speak more, to share their words more. Oftentimes, I know a lot of people don't speak because a lot of people trample when they say something. People tell you to shut up, you're not making any sense. And sometimes you get insecure. I was in that place too. When I was challenged with my accent and my grammar and all that stuff, I didn't talk much because I was stumbling on my words. I couldn't speak clearly. I used to just shut up in the corner and just listen, right? But I had to learn that, hey, Asher, nobody can read your mind, bro. Speak to me like I'm a blind person. You got to describe what's going on in your world for me. And we can do that, Jess. If we can step into that power, people were like, I hear you. I hear you. Like, I can close my eyes. I can tell what you're trying to tell me. And if we can do that, oh my God, Jess. Are you a blind coach?
Absolutely, I'm a blind coach. I can, and first off, even when we're in person,
Mm-hmm.
so a blind person cannot see me moving my hand. They will feel the breeze that my hands create from all the animation of me speaking. That's my personality.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not for everyone. I know that for some people it's a turn off. It's who I am. I'm very expressive. I love hard. I have a lot of energy. I like to laugh. I believe in edutainment, right? Education, little entertainment, a laughter and learn session is always good. But I believe that when you're able to help someone, even when they're blind,
Mm-hmm.
the potential of what life could look like when you dream and dream big and what dreams feel like
Mm-hmm.
for a person only when they have the courage to live out loud, when they have the courage to move beyond where they were and are ready and wanting to grow into what is waiting for them. That's when life becomes and feels beautiful, even without you being able to physically see it, because it overcomes every sensory that you have in your body. You smell it, you feel, you not only my hands, right? The wind that my hands are creating, but you feel it. You in every sense of whether the dream involves being on an island somewhere in the sun and you feel the sun on your back, and even though you're not anywhere in the sun, you smell the flowers of the island, whatever it is, it resonates so much as a part of who you are that you haven't yet experienced or lived, that no matter what the cost, no matter how many things you need to do different, no matter how many choices you need to make that are hard, they're worth it, because at the end of the journey, you have arrived and the dream is now your reality.
Coach Jess, success is your rewards.
Yes.
That is awesome, my friend. I'm gonna go back to the tennis. I'm gonna let everybody understand what the tennis is again. I'm gonna go wrap down. We talk about the idea tennis, and this is the platform where we're gonna come together and just help you with acronym tennis, right? Think, elevate, navigate, nurture, innovate, solve. So think. So each episode beginning with a powerful question that sparks deep thinking, encourage reflection and question, right? So we start off with, hey, the dream question. Are you too busy to dream? And elevate, right? We push these ideas further, right? Challenging beliefs and getting new perspective to elevate our understanding. I hope that happens for you. And navigate, we guide you through navigating complex emotion, complex thoughts, and life's biggest question, of course. And nurture. We nurture personal growth, provide space for reflection and introspection to help you develop deeper insight. We tap into innovate. The creativity, we explore innovative solutions and new approaches to life challenges. And last one, we conclude these conversations with practical insight and actionable steps so you can take to right apply it to your life. So Jess, did we tennis our way through this conversation today? Do you feel like we tennis? And if we didn't tennis our way through the conversation today, what do you have to close and wrap us up?
We definitely tennised our way into conversation. I'm going to challenge everyone from today's conversation to move from the space of time poverty, move from the space of guilt, move from the space of living in the moment to dreaming. And if you haven't figured out yet what it is that your dream is, I want you to push yourself to try new things, to experience new things, to reflect on the things that bring you joy, the things that make you smile, the things that you love to do. And think about what an ideal day in your life looks like, what your life could potentially look like if you pursued your dreams. And the dreams, again, don't have to be about money. The dreams are what sets your soul on fire and brings you pure joy. So leave us a comment in the chat once you've figured out what your dream is.
Mm. I got a few plug before we go off today.
Yeah.
So for the folks that understand, Jessica and I are working on a book on mindset because we think that's an area that, even though people hear that word mindset a lot, oftentimes we understand how important it is. Oftentimes there's a saying that say, you gotta sell them what they want, but then give them what they need. And oftentimes people need tangible things, but in the end, what they really need is mindset shift. So we're gonna work on a book together on that one to help you guys see how we look at mindset ourselves together. Also, I'm launching in the next few weeks my book that's coming out, my anthology book with a bunch of immigrants folks, right? 10 of us come together, write a book called Dare to Ignite Your Dreams. It's all about igniting dreams, my friend. And that one is coming out very soon. I will let you guys know about the date. And Jess said she's going to have me plan that launch party too. So thank you so much, Jessica, for being part of that. And then my website is called lifechangingwisdom.com. You can find me there. I'm gonna revamp that website later on, but that's coming. No, you can find information here. Also, I'm coming out early next year. Is a container we're building right now for coaches and clientele. Right, it's called Ultimate Mind and Body Transformation Program, and we're looking for definitely awesome coaches and people that are gonna need some kind of transformation mindset wise. Also, they're gonna, if you want to physical health, like fitness and mental health stuff, we're gonna tackle that challenge as well, that big obstacles. So that's coming soon as well. So folks that are listening to this, definitely we're gonna have places for you to find us. Right, we're gonna have home base. So right now, a YouTube channel, Idea Tennis. Right, this is another home base. Pandora's Awareness Podcast, another home base. You can hear from me and a couple of the folks that I'm meeting. And then the Ultimate Mind and Body Transformation. That's going to be another home base, right? I'm a firm believer in this, right? Even though we share stuff on social media, I would encourage everybody, right? Just create a home base, a platform that you can direct traffic to, you can send people to. Because social media, right? The Facebook and Instagram folks, right? They got their own model, right? But you got to have a place where you can take people from there to where they can hear you and listen to you. And right now, this podcast is where you can hear just me and Jess, right? Just us two going at it. Because all the time I interview a lot of people, and you can hear a lot from them, but you don't hear from Asher. So now I'm creating places where you can just hear from me how I think about stuff and how I process challenges and obstacles and how I put forth vision that people want to go after, because every vision comes with an obstacle, right? And every obstacle requires some kind of transformation. And every transformation needs action, right? You got to take action. So that has to happen for you. So folks, so look for that stuff coming out, Jess. For the folks that listen to us, look for that stuff coming out. Any last word, Jess?
See you next week.
All right.
Live your best life. And
All
remember,
right.
success is your reward.
Success is your reward. All right.
Right.